غفلة معرضون ما يأتيهم من ذكر من ربهم محدث إلا استمعوه ما يأتيهم من ذكر من ربهم محدث إلا استمعوه وهم يلعبون لاهية قلوبهم وأسروا النجوى الذين ظلموا النجوى الذين ظلموا هل هذا إلا بشر مثلكم أفتأتون السحر وأنتم تبصرون قال ربي يعلم القول في السماء والأرض قال ربي يعلم القول في السماء والأرض وهو السميع العليم بل قالوا أضغاث أحلام بل افتراه بل قالوا أضغاث أحلام بل افتراه بل هو شاعر بل هو شاعر فليأتنا بآية كما أرسل الأولون ما آمنت قبلهم من قرية أهلكناها أفهم صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى في قاذق الساغة وفي كل صاغة وليا المحافظا وقائدا المناصرا ودليلا البغينا حتى تسكنه أرضك توعا فتمتعه فيها طويلا. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله. السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله. السلام عليك يا ابن وابن سيد البشر. السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة السلام عليك يا ثار الله وابن ثار والوتر الموتور. السلام عليك وقال عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار. يا أبا عبد الله لقد عظمت الرزية وجلت وعظمت المصيبة بك غلينا وغلا جميع أهل الإسلام وجلت وعظمت مصيبتك في السماوات غلا جميع أهل السماوات. فلغنا الله أمة أسست أساس الظلم والجور عليكم أهل البيت. ولغنا الله أمة دفعتكم عن مقامكم وأزالتكم عن مراتبكم التي رتبكم الله فيكم. ولغنا الله أمة قتلتكم ولغنا الله الممجدين لهم بالتمكين من قتالكم. برئت إلى الله وإليكم منكم ومن أشياخهم وأتباعهم وأوليائهم. يا أبا عبد الله إني سلم لمن سالمكم وقرب لمن قاربكم إلى يوم القيامة. بلغنا الله على زياد وعلى مروان. بلغنا الله بني أمية قاتبا. ولغنا الله ابن مرجانة. ولغنا الله عمر بن سعد. بلغنا الله شبرا. بلغنا الله أمة أسرجت وألجمت وتلقبت لقتالك بأبي أنت وأمي. لقد عظم مصابيبك. فأسأل الله الذي أكرم مقامك وأكرمني بك أن يرزقني طلب ثارك مغرب منصور من أهل بيت محمد صلى الله عليه وآله. اللهم اجعل لي عندك وجيها بالحسين عليه السلام في الدنيا والآخرة. يا أبا عبد الله إني أتقرب إلى الله وإلى رسوله وإلى أمير المؤمنين وإلى فاطمة وإلى الحسن وإليك بموالاتك وبالبراءة ممن أسس أساس ذلك وبنى عليك بنيانه وجرى في ظلمه وجوره عليكم وعلى أشيائكم. برئت إلى الله وإليكم منهم وأتقرب إلى الله ثم إليكم بموالاتكم وموالاة وليكم وبالبراءة من أعدائكم والناصبين لكم الحرب وبالبراءة من أشياعكم وأتباعكم. إني سلم لمن سالمكم وحرب لمن حاربكم وولي لمن والاكم وغدو لمن عاداكم. فأسأل الله الذي أكرمني بمعرفتكم ومعرفة أوليائكم ورزقنا البراءة من أعدائكم أن يجعلني معكم في الدنيا والآخرة وأن يثبت لي عندكم قدم صدق في الدنيا والآخرة. وأسأله أن يبلغنا المقام المحمود لكم عند الله وأن يرزقني طلب ثاري مع إمام هدى ظاهرا ناطقا بالحق منكم. وأسأل الله بحقكم وبالشأن الذي لكم غلدا أن يعطيني بمصابي بكم أفضل ما يعطي مصابا بمصيبته، مصيبة ما آذمها وآذم رزيتها في الإسلام وفي جميع السماوات والأرض. اللهم اجعل لي في مقامي هذا ممن تناله منك سلامات ورحمة ومغفرة. اللهم اجعل محياي محيا محمد وآل محمد ومماتي ممات محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إن هذا يوم تبركت به بنو أمية وابن أكلة الأكباد اللعين وابن اللعين على لسانك ولسان نبيك صلى الله عليه وسلم. في كل موطن وموقف وقف فيه نبيك صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم لعن أبا سفيان ومعاوية، اللهم لعن أبا سفيان ومعاوية ويزيد بن معاوية، عليهم منك اللعنة أبد الآبدين. وقضى يوم فرحت به آل زياد وآل مروان بقتلهم الحسين صلوات الله عليه. اللهم فضاعف عليهم اللعنة منك بالغضب الأليم. اللهم إني أتقرب إليك في هذا اليوم وفي موقفي هذا وأيام حياتي بالبراءة بالقرب باللعنة عليهم وبالموالاة للنبي كمال نبيك عليهم وعليهم السلام. اللهم الآن أول ظالم ظلم حق محمد وآل محمد وآخر تابع له على ذلك. اللهم لعن العصابة التي جاهدت الحسين وشايعت وبايعت وتابعت على قتله. اللهم بلغهم جميعا تسقط وتسقين بر. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله بقل الأرواح التي حلت بفلاك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار فلا جعل الله آخر الغد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي ابن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين تسغة وتسغين مر. اللهم خص أنت أول ظالم البلان مني فابدأ به أولا ثم العن الثاني والثالث والرابع. اللهم العن العصابة التي جاهدت الحسين. اللهم العن يزيد خامسا والعن عبيد الله بن زياد وابن مرجان وعمر بن سعد وشمرا وآل أبي سفيان وآل زياد وآل مروان إلى يوم القيامة. اللهم لك الحمد حمد الشاكرين لك على مصابهم. الحمد لله على عظيم رزيتي. اللهم ارزقني شفاعة الحسين يوم الورود وثبت لي قدم صدق عندك مع الحسين وأصحاب الحسين الذين بذلوا مخرجهم دون الحسين عليه السلام. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
عطروا مجلسكم بالصلاة على محمد وآل محمد. Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I extend my condolences to Sahib al-Asr wa Zaman and to you all on the martyrdom of our fourth Imam, Imam Zain al-Abidin, alayhi salam. I'll start off by apologizing for the slightly delayed start to the majlis tonight. I'd like to start by first of all thanking our brother Mahdi Hishmati for his recitation of the Quran and ziyarah, and if you can all thank him with another loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Alhamdulillah, once again we are pleased to have with us a dearly beloved guest and friend, Sheikh Muhammad Abbas Panju, who has come to remind us of the sacrifices of our beloved fourth Imam, Imam al-Sajjād, and the teachings of his life. So inshallah he'll be with us tonight and tomorrow, as well as reviving the majlis with eulogies by Brother Baqir Bukhari and Hayat Haydariyun, both in Urdu and in Farsi, inshallah. To start the program, I would like to invite our dear brother Raim Zaidi to the minbar for his marsiyah, and if you can invite him with the loudest salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
बर मोहम्मद व आले मोहम्मद सलावत। खैर मक़दम को, खैर मक़दम को तराई पाखरा है पानी, खैर मक़दम को तराई पाखरा है पानी, शेरे हैदर तेरे कदमों में परा है पानी, शेरे हैदर तेरे कदमों में परा है पानी। गैज़ में शाम की, गैज़ में शाम की फ़ौजों से कहा गाज़ी ने, गैज़ में शाम की फ़ौजों से कहा गाज़ी ने, डूब जाओ मेरे चुल्लू में भरा है पानी, डूब जाओ मेरे चुल्लू में भरा है पानी। सलावत। One more louder salawat, please. शिमर काबा पे शिमर काबा पे चलता हुआ खंजर देखा चंद कदमों से सकीना ने ये मंज़र देखा चंद कदमों से सकीना ने ये मंज़र देखा। और खाक पर गिरती रही बची दहकते रन में, खाक पर गिरती रही बची दहकते रन में, बाप की जुल्फ़ों में, बाप की जुल्फ़ों में जब दस्ते सितम कर देखा चंद कदमों से सकीना ने ये मंज़र देखा। और जुल्म तो ये था कत्ल करने से पहले उसने, जुल्म तो ये था कत्ल करने से पहले उसने, मार कर बेटी को, मार कर बेटी को शबीर को हंस कर देखा चंद कदमों से सकीना ने ये मंज़र देखा। रोक ले हाथ को शायद वो न फिर वार करे, रोक ले हाथ को शायद वो न फिर वार करे, शै की गर्दन पे गला, शै की गर्दन पे गला बेटी ने रख कर देखा चंद कदमों से सकीना ने ये मंज़र देखा। बर मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु।
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Jazakallah khair, Brother Raim, for your marsiya. Before I invite our next reciter, if you can all just pay attention to the screens, inshallah, I think Musaddiq will put a poster on the screens for you. On the 2nd of August, Saturday the 2nd of August, there will be the 9th Arba'een procession hosted by the 10th day. This is an annual procession that they do on close to Arba'een, and it's a walk that they start at the Manchester Islamic Institute, MII, and they'll walk through central Manchester. So this is just for your advanced notification that the events will be happening on the 2nd of August, on Saturday. And for those that are interested in volunteering, then I don't know if there's a QR code on there, but if you are interested in volunteering, you can get in contact. If you ask one of the volunteers here tonight, inshallah, they can point you into the right direction of who to contact if you are interested in volunteering for the procession. So just a reminder, Saturday, 2nd of August, inshallah. I'll now like to invite our next reciter before we go on to just one more presentation, and then we go on to the Sheikh as well. So if you can invite with the loudest salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. If we can invite Brother Baqir Bukhari with a loudest salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Increase the volume of the tiny because it's a bit. Durood par Muhammad wa ale Muhammad. वो खून रोके वो खून रोके कहता रहा ज़माने से वो खून रोके कहता रहा ज़माने से रिदाए छीनो ना रिदाए छीनो ना लोगों मेरे घराने से रिदाए छीनो ना रिदाए छीनो ना लोगों मेरे घराने से सवाल आब पे रोने पे उसके सोने पे सवाल आब पे सोने पे उसके रोने पे सवाल आब पे सोने पे उसके रोने पे वो मारते थे वो मारते थे सकीना को हर बहाने से वो खून रोके ये कहता रहा ज़माने से बुलाए किस तरह अब्बास को मदद के लिए बुलाए किस तरह अब्बास को मदद के लिए वो बेरदा थी, वो बेरदा थी, झिझकती रही बुलाने से। वो खून रोके ये कहता रहा ज़माने से। सुलाया जाता था बेहोश करके दुर्रों से। सुलाया जाता था बेहोश करके दुर्रों से। जगाया जाता था जगाया जाता आबिद को ताज़ियाने से। वो खून रोके ये कहता रहा ज़माने से कि ये है शिम्र ने कि ये है शिम्र ने। दो कत्ल एक खंजर से कि ये है शिम्र ने। दो कत्ल एक खंजर से। लहू हुसैन का पहुँचा, लहू हुसैन का पहुँचा बहन की चादर से। लहू हुसैन का पहुँचा बहन की चादर से। और गरीब ज़हरा, गरीब ज़हरा वहीं रोते रोते मर जाता। गरीब ज़हरा वहीं रोते रोते मर जाता। बहन उठा के ना लाती, बहन उठा के ना लाती जो लाश अकबर से।
बहन उठा के ना लाती जो लाश अकबर से या ज़हरा किसी ने बालों से किसी ने बालों से पकड़ा कोई उठा के चला किसी ने बालों से पकड़ा कोई उठा के चला सरे हुसैन को मारा सरे हुसैन को मारा किसी ने पत्थर से सरे हुसैन को मारा किसी ने पत्थर से और लबे हुसैन पे लबे हुसैन पे हंस हंस के मारता था छड़ी लबे हुसैन पे हंस हंस के मारता था छड़ी यजीद खेल रहा था यजीद खेल रहा था हुसैन के सर से यजीद खेल रहा था हुसैन के सर से किए हैं शिम्र ने
صلى على محمد وآل محمد. Thank you, Brother Baqir Bukhari, for your moving marsiya, as always. And inshallah, following the majlis as well, after the Sheikh's lecture, we will have Latum, Matum, that will be led by Brother Baqir and Hayat Haydarayun as well. So if you inshallah stay behind after the lecture, you can join in the Latum. Before I invite the Sheikh, inshallah, I'd like to invite Brother Ahmed Al-Wardi, who's a representative of the Al-Ain Foundation, who's just going to take a couple of minutes, inshallah, to talk to you about the foundation. And he's also got a stall outside, so if you want to talk to him further after the program, then you're more than welcome to do so.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Condolences to you all on the Shahādat anniversary of Imam al-Sajjād alayhi salam. Just want to introduce myself. My name is Ahmed. I work with Al-Ain Social Care Foundation. As many of you know, we are a charity that empowers orphan children, and we were founded by Ayatollah Sistani. Currently, we are sponsoring over 100,000 children in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Ghana with your support. But inshallah, there is a greater need. So if you would like to sponsor an orphan child and empower them, please do get in touch with me at the stall behind the venue. We're also fundraising for our Muharram campaign. So if you want more information about that, please do get in touch. If you have any intention of volunteering or fundraising for Al-Ain, again, I can give you more details about that. We also have an event next week, our first ever event in Manchester that will take place in Dar al-Hadi on Friday the 25th of July at 7 p.m. We will be welcoming Sayyid Ali al-Khilkhali, Sayyid Ali al-Hakim, and also Sayyid Khamis Rizvi for recitations. So if you want, again, more details about that, please come see me at the stall. Thank you so much for your support. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Thank you, dear brother Ahmed Al-Wardi. And again, if you want to get any more information, you can see him outside. He'll have a stall at the entrance of the venue. Inshallah, just before we invite the Sheikh onto the mimbar, I've just been asked if I can make some extra space, especially in with the gents, with the brothers. If you can all come forward a little bit, just so we can make some extra space at the back for those who come in a little bit late. And likewise for the sisters, if there is any space that you can make, especially towards the back, if you can come forward a little bit, then I'm really much appreciated. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. As always, I would like to thank the mu'mineen and mu'minat, the attendees here, especially for those who have joined us throughout our Muharram program over the last 10 nights, 10 nights of Muharram. And for those who have supported us, whether that be financially, through their services, for their khidmah, we thank you all. And inshallah, you can continue to support the foundation. I think there's a short amount left for us to raise to clear the remaining debts on the building of the loan. So if you can help in any way, I'm sure there's volunteers outside that can give you more details if you are interested. And if you can support the foundation, continue to support the foundation, it would be much appreciated. Jazakallah khair. So without further ado, inshallah, I'd like to invite our dear friend and scholar, Sheikh Muhammad Abbas Panju, to the member. And if you can all invite him with the loudest of salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. الثانية على حب الزهراء. والثالثة على حب الحسن والحسين.
صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجه. رحم الله من قرأ سورة المباركة الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. الحمد لله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله بارئ الخلائق الأجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء حبيب قلوبنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. ثم الصلاة والسلام على أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين، لا سيما ولي الله الحجة ابن الحسن صاحب الأمر والزمان. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. روحي وأرواح العالمين له الفداء، ولعنة الله على أعدائهم وعلى منكري فضائلهم من الأولين والآخرين إلى قيام يوم الدين. آمين رب العالمين. صلى الله عليك يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله. صلى الله عليك يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله. يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة، يا غريب الغرباء، يا مظلوم كربلاء. السلام على من جعل الله الشفاء في تربته. السلام على من الإجابة تحت قبته. السلام على ساكن كربلاء. فيا ليتنا ثم يا ليتنا وكنا معكم سادتي. يا سادتي فنفوز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد، قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم: إن الحسين مصباح الهدى وسفينة النجاة. صدق النبي وآمنا به. نوروا مجالسكم بذكر محمد وآل محمد. أحبائي, you find that Karbala is that sacrifice, that revolution that is unparalleled since the time of the creation. And until Yawmul Qiyamah, there shall never be a second revolution equal to its magnitude like Karbala. Truth in its entirety, purity in its entirety is embedded within Imam al-Hussein and his companions. And on the other hand, you find the embodiment of falsehood and impurity embedded within the army of Yazid al-La'in and those that decided to fight under Yazid and those who decided to remain neutral in the issue of Ashura. And you find that in addition to this, Karbala is that movement, that powerful movement that shakes the very essence of any truth-loving seeker. Any person with a conscience who is looking for proximity towards that one creator. Any person who is looking to find the purpose of their creation. You find that Karbala is that grand event that shakes their core and creates this gravity through which you yearn towards Haqq by shedding tears for Imam al-Hussein. The extent that the more you drown yourselves in the grief of Imam al-Hussein, the higher you climb on this ladder of spiritual perfection. And you find this reality embedded within the prophetic narration. This hadith which is narrated by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, when he describes his journey of Mi'raj. And he says that I saw that it was inscribed on the foundation of the Arsh, Inna al-Hussein misbah al-Huda. Indeed, Imam al-Hussein is the lantern of guidance, wa safinatun najat, and is the ark of salvation. Matamis, contemplate over these words of Rasulullah. I saw that it was engraved on the arsh of Allah that Imam al-Hussein is the lantern of guidance and the ark of salvation. Why did Allah Azza wa Jal inscribe this slogan and this statement on the foundation of the arsh? He could have put this to be on the doors of the heavens. He could have etched this onto the earth and the skies. Yet Allah particularly chose that it will be engraved on the foundation of the Arsh. Why? The Arsh of Allah, the throne of Allah, has a number of interpretations. One agreed upon interpretation is that the Arsh is a representation of the dominion and the grandeur and the power of Allah. If this is the case, then the foundation upon which the grandeur of the Lord of the universe is built upon is the sacrifice of Imam al-Hussein. Ya Ali. And if this reality is edged in the very concept of Tawheed, know that so long as there is La ilaha illallah, the nida labbaik ya Hussein shall continue. This cannot be separated. From Alam al-Malakut, Imam al-Hussein's name cannot be separated from Tawheed. It is etched onto the Arsh. And you find that this reality, year upon year, generation after generation, mankind seeks salvation by knocking at the door of Imam al-Hussein. As soon as the months of Shahr Muharram open, the tears flow we receive the guidance and we ascend in spirituality. If we understand that Karbala is this ultimate symbol of guidance, you will also realize, on the other hand, that the enemies very well understood this reality. And Bani Umayyah spared no effort to exert maximum effort to try and distort the message of Imam al-Hussein and to distort the reality of Karbala. If you were to read through the books of history, you find that from the very first days, when Imam al-Sajjād and Sayyidah Zainab and the rest of the Sabaya were brought into the city of Kufa, and Ibn Ziyad was interrogating the holy Ahlul Bayt, he looked at Imam al-Sajjād and he says to him, "Who are you?" Imam al-Sajjād replies by saying, "I am Ali ibn al-Hussein." Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad al-La'in, his response was, "Did Allah not kill Ali in Karbala?" Yani, he was referring to Ali al-Akbar. Imam Sajjad then said, "I had another brother by the name of Ali." But the point over here is the narrative that was being pushed by the likes of Ibn Ziyad, that it was Allah who killed Imam al-Hussein and his progeny. On the other hand, you have a narrative that is being pushed by Yazid in Sham, that because apparent victory was given to us and kingdom is within our possession, it means that Allah is pleased with us. And because Hussein was killed on the plains of Karbala, that means that God was against him. The narrative that Bani Umayyah was pushing out is that the grandchildren of Rasulullah revolted against the very religion of their grandfather. And had it not been, number one, the role of the women and the children after Ashura in imprisonment from Karbala to Kufa and Kufa to Sham, Matamis, till today the books of history would write for us that Imam al-Hussein revolted against the Khalif of the time, revolted against the grandfather of his religion, and ultimately paid the price. The distortion of what happened in Karbala. And Bani Umayyah did not stop. After them came Bani Abbas, and they distorted the events of Karbala in different ways. Until today, the Nawasib try and distort what the reality of what happened in Karbala. And on the other hand, they try and omit the dhikr of Karbala altogether. How many years during the time of somebody contemporary, Saddam, was the walk of Arba'in prohibited? How many lives were given such that people could walk and get a glimpse at the Qubba of Imam al-Hussein? They suppressed the walk, they suppressed the azah of Imam al-Hussein. And as soon as this la'in was sent to Jahannam, wa bi'sa al-masir, you find the explosion in terms of the ziyarat al-arba'in in front of your own eyes. The nature of the commemoration of Imam al-Hussein is that it cannot be suppressed. For if we understand that the enemies of Ali Muhammad exerted utmost efforts to distort and to hide the reality of what happened in Ashura, keeping in mind that it is a powerful catalyst for change and to seek hidayah, so obviously they will target. On the other hand, you will find that Ahlul Bayt, from the time of Imam al-Sajjād all the way until Maulana Sahibul Amri wa Zaman, Ruhi lahul Fida, each and every one of the Imams implemented strategic measures to ensure that the dhikr of Karbala is not distorted. In other words, each and every Imam implemented certain strategic measures to make sure that the message of Karbala and the details of how Imam al-Hussein was martyred are safeguarded and preserved such that they can be a source of guidance for future generations to come until the dhuhur of the Imam. And one of those benefactors are you and I today, 1400 years later. How? Number one, you will find from these strategic measures that Imam Sajjād in particular and Imam Al Baqir took in preserving the details of what happened. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli samahtu Shaykh. Faddalu. Muhammad. One of the measures that Imam Al-Sajjād and Imam Al Baqir took, strategic measures, which was an important aspect or a function of this divine imamate, was to protect and preserve not only the message of Karbala, but the details of how Imam al-Hussein and his companions were martyred on the day of Ashura. From these measures, Ahibba'i, Imam al-Sajjād oversaw the compilation of the Maqtal of Imam al-Hussein through his companion Jabir ibn Yazid al-Ju'fi. Imam al-Sajjād and Imam Al Baqir commanded this one companion by the name of Jabir ibn Yazid al-Ju'fi to write the entire account of what happened on the day of Ashura, the Maqtal of Imam al-Hussein. If you were to speak to a number of experts within this field, within the Hawza Ilmiya in Najaf al-Ashraf, they will tell you that according to us, from what is known, because no historian can make a blank statement when it comes to encompassing history in its entirety, as we will see towards the end of the lecture. They say that from the literature that we have received, the Maqtal of Jabir ibn Yazid al-Ju'fi is the second Maqtal to be authored upon the martyrdom of Imam al-Hussein. The first person to author the Maqtal was the companion of Amir al-Mu'mineen by the name of Asbagh ibn Nabata. Asbagh ibn Nabata died in 100 AH. The companion of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Imam al-Hasan, was not able to participate in Karbala for reasons that we can discuss in a different lecture. But he was the first person, and we spoke about this last year. So I will not repeat, but to give you context, the first person to record the Maqtal upon the martyrdom of Imam al-Hussein. And this Maqtal included narrations from Imam Sajjād, from Imam Al Baqir, and the eyewitnesses that were present in Karbala. After Asbagh ibn Nabata, you find the second person who took this initiative to record the Maqtal, the events of the killing of Imam al-Hussein in the form of a book, Jabir ibn Yazid al-Ju'fi. For the purpose of tonight's majlis, we would like to explore a number of points in regards to Jabir. Number one, who was Jabir ibn Yazid al-Ju'fi? Number two, what is the different opinions of the ulama of Rijal when it comes to the credibility of Jabir al-Ju'fi? Number three, what were the writings that he had contributed to as an author during early Islam? Number four, the Maqtal that he wrote. What happened to this Maqtal? Is it still available till today or no? And number five, which other historians depended on the Maqtal of Jabir as a primary source, which they then referred on to, referenced, wrote, and passed on for generations after them? The idea is through this, Ahibba'i, we will then be able to dispel a number of misconceptions in regards to how we got the details or where details of the Maqtal of Imam al-Hussein are received from. And inshallah, all of this with the loud barakat of a salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Jabir ibn Yazid al-Ju'fi, Ahibba'i, ulama of Rijal, you will find Sheikh al-Abtahi mentions that he was from the companions of Imam Al-Sajjād, Imam Al Baqir, and Imam Al-Sadiq. Jabir al-Ju'fi then passed away in 148 AH. Conclusion number 1. Matamiz, Shabab. The Maqtal of Imam al-Hussein was authored as early as 148 AH. For claims that are made that the Maqtal was not in a written form and this was all compiled during the Safavid period, and before the Safavid period there was no clear compilation or understanding of what happened on the day of Ashura, are inaccurate claims. It is academic fraud for any Maulvi Sahib to sit on the mimbar and to create doubt in regards to when the history of the Maqtal was recorded and compiled in a written form. High one. Jabir died in 148 AH. Ulama, let me read you passages of what the ulama say in regards to the credibility and the status of Jabir. And this will give you an understanding of the caliber of the people who took it upon themselves or were given the task by the Ma'soom Imam to compile a Maqtal. You notice how the Masa'ib of Imam al-Hussein has reached us till this day and age. In regards to his credential, Sheikh al-Mufid, Rahmatullah alayh, in his text Risalat al-Adida, describes Jabir by saying, وهو من الفقهاء والأعلام الرؤساء المأخوذ عنهم الحلال والحرام والفتية والأحكام. Sheikh Mufid describes Jabir ibn Yazid al-Ju'fi, the author of the Maqtal of Imam al-Hussein during the time of Imam Sajjād and Imam Al Baqir, as being an alim who was a faqih, the equivalent of a marja taqlid, the way we say today. And from him, from the likes of Jabir, fatwa in regards to halal and haram are taken and accepted and understood. وَمِنْ أَصْحَابِ الْأُصُولِ الْمُدَوَّنَةِ وَالْمُصَنَّفَاتِ الْمَشْهُورَةِ, that he is from amongst those companions who had compiled writings and literatures that then went up to make this encyclopedia known as the Usul Arbamiyya, 400 texts that were authored by companions of the Imams from the time, some people say from the time of Imam Al-Sajjād till the time of Imam Al-Hadi. Some ulama of the opinion from the time of Amirul Mu'mineen all the way to Imam Al-Hadi. And there are texts greater than 400. We will go with what is the minimum. He was from amongst those who contributed to this great encyclopedia of Shia literature in regards to halal and haram. Recording, writing, hadith in the school of Ahlul Bayt did not begin after a ban that was imposed by the Khulafa of Saqifa. Amirul Mu'mineen had a number of his own companions who were writing history when it was banned by the time of the Khulafa, one of them being Sulaim bin Qais al-Hilali. There is a lot of kalam in regards to Sulaim bin Qais. Inshallah, if Allah Azza wa Jal gives us a chance during Fatimiyya, we will discuss that. Moreover, Sheikh al-Mufid in his book Al-Ikhtisas narrates a hadith that Mufaddal ibn Umar was a companion of Imam Sadiq. Some of you may have read or may be familiar with the book Kitab al-Tawheed by Sheikh Mufaddal ibn Umar, where he talks about, he dictates, Imam Sadiq is dictating and Mufaddal is writing. I believe the book is available in English, is translated as well, about Tawheed. And you see the vast, never-ending wisdom of Rabbil Alameen within our creation. Mufaddal ibn Umar asks Imam Sadiq in regards to Jabir, how is Jabir? Because as you know, Jabir was a servant of Imam Al Baqir for 18 years, studied under him for a period of 18 years, the way Sheikh Al-Mamkani mentions in Tankih Al-Maqal. So Mufaddal asks Imam Sadiq, what is your opinion of Jabir? Imam Sadiq replies back by saying, he is the equivalent manzilatu Salman min Rasulullah. How was Salman to Rasulullah? In that same way, that relationship is between me and Jabir. What did Rasulullah say in regards to Salman? Salman minna ahl al-bayt. This is tazkiyah for Jabir. Jabir minna ahl al-bayt. In regards to the credibility, look at the caliber of the people who were tasked with writing and authoring the Maqtal of Imam al-Hussein. This is what we are trying to get to. You find within the books of Rijal, Sheikh al-Najashi discredits Jabir ibn Yazid al-Ju'fi in the sense that he says, كان في نفسه مختلطا, that Jabir was a person. Mukhtalitan means one of two things. He was a person who confused, jumbled up the hadith, mixed hadith that was correct with hadith that was not correct. Mukhtalitan also means that he was not mentally sound. One of two things could be deduced from the words of Sheikh al-Najashi. Where do these claims emanate from? Number one, mukhtalit, mixing hadith that is accurate with hadith that is non-accurate. You find that a lot of the people during the time of Jabir ibn Yazid al-Ju'fi had a hard time digesting hadith in regards to the fada'il of Al Muhammad. And because they were not able to digest the reality of the fada'il, they would blame and they would accuse Jabir of ghulu. And at the forefront of this were the likes of the awam, the likes of Abu Hanifa. In fact, Abu Hanifa had very limited access to the hadith of Rasulullah, which is why he was forced to revert to strategies such as qiyas and istihsan, because they did not have access to the ilm and the hadith of Rasulullah at that time. And Jabir, on the other hand, Sheikh al-Mufid narrates in his writing, Jabir himself says, I learned 70,000 hadith from Imam Al Baqir. From a person who is struggling to understand hadith like Abu Hanifa, dependent on qiyas and istihsan. Of course there's going to be hasasiyat. And you find this even in this day and age. Ahibai, these things are not difficult to understand. Even in this day and age, when the fada'il of Al Muhammad is recited from the mimbar, person has difficulty digesting the grandeur within the maqam that is given to an imam by Allah. They have difficulty digesting. Straight away they say, what, this is ghulu, this is shirk. Fulan can't digest the fact that tawassul is from the fundamental aspects of tawheed, because his akal can't digest this. Ghulu. Sahih lo, I live in a different world. We see this. And this is not something that is exclusive to our day and age. Matam is, this is something that was happening during the time when Jabir ibn Yazid al-Ju'fi would sit in Masjid al-Kufa. He would say, سمعت سيد الأولين والآخرين محمد ibn Ali al-Baqir يقول. Jabir would begin his hadith by saying, I heard from the Sayyid, the master of the Awsiya, from the beginning of time till the end of time. Just this one fadila of Imam Al Baqir. They would come out of Masjid al Kufa in the middle of his hadith and they would say, Jannah Jabir. Refer back to MashaAllah. Yeah, they would say Jannah Jafir, inshallah, to honor the Nara Junoon in the way of Ahlul Bayt, inshallah, is commendable. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So this is number one. Number two, Rijal al-Kishi. Sheikh al-Kishi, who is one of these formidable texts that the usuli ulama depend on when it comes to understanding the authenticity and the credibility of narrators. Sheikh al-Kishi mentions that Jabir ibn Yazid al-Ju'fi was commanded by Imam Al Baqir to pretend that he is mentally unstable in order to protect his life, and by adapting a stance or a state of mental instability, he was able to protect his life and spread the teachings of Ahlul Bayt. In the same way as Bahlul. Bahlul was not the first person to be subject to this sort of behavior. Before him was Jabir. Rijal al-Kishi points towards this, where there is a narration by Nu'man ibn Bashir. He says, we came out from Hajj and I was a companion with Jabir. On the way we went to Medina and we visited Imam Al Baqir. As we were returning back to Kufa, at a certain part of our journey, a person came with a letter to Jabir ibn Yazid al-Ju'fi. The letter was sealed. He said to Jabir, this is a letter from your master, Imam Muhammad Al Baqir. Jabir ibn Yazid looked at the letter, put it on his forehead, kissed it, read the letter. Yazid was a person, Jabir ibn Yazid was a person, his personality, he was a very talkative person. 70,000 hadith ba'ad. And so they would discuss ilm with his companions. As soon as he read the letter, Jabir's complexion changed. And he went silent. Nu'man ibn Bashir, his companion, says, from that moment onwards, I never heard Jabir speak a single word in the journey. When we reached into Kufa, Jabir went into his house because he was a citizen of Kufa, disappeared in his house for a couple of hours. He says, I was worried. What was the content of the letter? I waited outside his house. Jabir ibn Yazid al-Ju'fi comes out of his house holding a broomstick, pretending that it is a horse, acting like he's mentally unstable. Days later, there was a command that had come from the ruling party of the Khalif of that time, that there is an execution order that has been issued. Jabir ibn Yazid al-Ju'fi, this companion of Imam Al Baqir, is to be arrested and to be executed. When the governor of Kufa saw the execution order, he sent back a letter to the Khalif saying, you want me to publicly execute a mentally unstable person? And so they left Jabir. People had to adapt and go through this extent in order for the ilm and the knowledge of Ali Muhammad to reach you and I. Ahibai. From the writings of Jabir ibn Yazid al-Ju'fi, if you go back to the writings in the Rijal of Sheikh Tusi and Najashi, you will find that Jabir ibn Yazid al-Ju'fi was an author who had written a tafsir of the Quran based on hadith of Imam al-Sajjād and Imam Al Baqir. He had compiled a book in regards to the history of Jamal. He had compiled a book in regards to the history of the Battle of Siffin. He had written and compiled a book in regards to the Battle of Nahrawan. He had written and compiled a book that was entitled the Maqtal of Amirul Mu'mineen. Meaning that by 100 AH, at the time of Imam Al Baqir, there was a compiled book that talked in detail of how Amirul Mu'mineen was made Shaheed on the 19th of Shahrum Muharram and eventually struck on the 19th and Shaheed on the 21st. So now why all these useless claims from the mimbar that come and say Maqatil and details of the Maqtal were fabricated during the time of the Safavids? Mujiba Kulliya, to make a blanket sweeping statement like this is an academic failure, ahibai. Aib. In addition to the Maqtal of Amirul Mu'mineen, Jabir ibn Yazid al-Ju'fi had authored the Maqtal of Imam al-Hussein. This Maqtal was then present all the way, because he died in about 148 AH. This Maqtal, written Maqtal of Imam al-Hussein was available and present. If you go back to the chain of narrators, you will be able to establish and deduce that a copy of this Maqtal was, one of these copies was present in Basra, One of these copies was present in Baghdad, and this Maqtal was present and available all the way up to the time of Sheikh Najashi. Sheikh Najashi even looked and saw the Maqtal, and he traces the entire sanad of how he received this Maqtal back to its author. 458 AH, 450 AH, when Baghdad was attacked by the Sajalika, you find that the entire library in Baghdad was destroyed and burnt, and from amongst the manuscripts that was destroyed was the Maqtal of Jabir ibn Yazid al-Ju'fi. Allahu Akbar. Tamam. Ya Ali. Ya Ali. Beshmar. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajjal faraja. For you find over here that the Maqtal existed till about 450 AH, and then it was destroyed. A conclusion that you can take from here, Matamis, you know, the Maqtal of Asbagh ibn Nabata was also destroyed during the time of Sheikh Tusi. From here you are able to take a conclusion that what has reached us from the Maqtal of Imam al-Hussein is probably a tiny percentage of what was already authored. There was a Maqtal that was even authored by Sheikh al-Saduq, an entire book in regards to Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. That entire book was then destroyed through the passages of time. One hadith from this Maqtal of Sheikh Saduq was what? The famous hadith of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, that he was so tall such that when he would sit on the horse, even though he would sit on the horse, his legs would touch the ground. The stirrups of that were placed on the side of the horse were very close to the earth, close to the ground. This hadith came from where? It came from the Maqtal of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas that was authored by Sheikh al-Saduq. For in reality, from an academic perspective, if you were to look at the issue and the details of the Maqtal and what we have in our literature today, from the day of Ashura, is a very tiny percentage of what was actually written during that time. Sometimes, ajib, even in this small percentage, people have ishkal. The Maqtal got destroyed. However, you find that there are remnants, examples of what this Maqtal of Jabir ibn Yazid al-Ju'fi looked like and the type of content that that Maqtal had. Because other scholars who were around 300 AH, 400 AH, they ended up writing Maqtals, which we take today as primary sources, but in reality they were secondary sources at their time because they were referring to other primary sources. You have Maqatil that are present till today. Maqatil, plural of the word Maqtal. Maqatil that are present till today, where you find the authors are dependent upon the writings of Jabir bin Yazid al-Ju'fi. Shufu, I'll read for you a couple of examples and we go into Masa'ib. From the Maqtal of Jabir ibn Yazid al-Ju'fi, people that have referenced this Maqtal, Ahibai, you have Abul Faraj al-Isfahani. Abul Faraj al-Isfahani is the author of the Maqtal that is known as Maqatil al-Talibiyin. He passed away in 356 AH, and I believe Maqatil al-Talibiyin is also translated into English. Abul Faraj al-Isfahani, when he authored this Maqtal, 356 AH, he died. Where did he get the primary information to author this Maqtal? He depended on Jabir ibn Yazid al-Ju'fi. Look at the type of the hadith that he narrates. He says, An Abi Ja'far. So, An Jabir ibn Yazid al-Ju'fi, An Abi Ja'far. Meaning what? Jabir ibn Yazid al-Ju'fi is narrating from Imam Al Baqir. Ahibba'i Matamis, we are people of tafakkur and tadabbur, meaning that Imam Al Baqir played a great role in narrating the details of the Maqtal on the day of Ashura. How old was Imam Al Baqir when he was in Karbala? 4 years. The ilm of a Ma'soom Imam at the age of 4 and the attention of detail for a Ma'soom Imam at the age of 4 is not like any other human being. La yuqas bina Ahlul Bayt. No human, no creation can be compared to Ahlul Bayt. Shufu, Imam Al Baqir says what? Anna Zayd ibn Ruqad wa Hakim ibn Tufail qatala al-Abbas ibn Ali. Two people, Zayd ibn Ruqad and Hakim ibn Tufail, were responsible for killing Abul Fadl al-Abbas. When you go back to the Maqatil, you will find these two names through which we are able to deduce a new conclusion. As per the experts within this field who have mentioned, both these individuals, Zayd ibn Ruqad and Hakim ibn Tufail, were responsible for severing the arms of Abul Fadl al-Abbas. One of them cut the right hand, the other one cut the left hand. But you find over here, Imam Al Baqir says, qatala, meaning that they were directly responsible for killing Abul Fadl al-Abbas, which is why specialists within the Maqatil, at least in Najaf, when they come forward and they look at these hadith, they come and tell you that the role of Zayd ibn Ruqad and Tufail or Hakim ibn Tufail, not only did they sever the arms, after that they went and they attacked Abul Fadl again and again. And it was the final strikes of these two men that was the ultimate cause of Shahada. Shufu, Ma'soom Imam says, Riwayatun tadri khayrun min alfin tarwih. Real fiqh is in the contemplation, is in contemplating in the depths of the words, depth of the meanings that are contained within the words of Ahlul Bayt. Shufu, another detail. He mentions over here in regards to what happened to Imam al-Hussein. So the first person who referenced the Maqtal of Jabir ibn Yazid al-Ju'fi is Abu al-Faraj al-Isfahani in Maqatil al-Talibiyin. The second person who depended on this Maqtal is Muhammad ibn Jarir al-Tabari, very well-known historian. I believe 350 AH, maybe he passed away, give or take. In his writings, Tarikh al-Umam wal-Muluk, look at the detail that existed in the Maqatil of the early days. Somebody comes and tells you that these type of details are fabricated and they've been added by the reciter. Shufu. In regards to Hasin ibn Tamim, what he did to Imam al-Hussein. فَرَمَاهُ بِسَحْمٍ فَوَقَعَ فِي فَمِهِ. He struck Imam al-Hussein. Hasin ibn Tamim struck Imam al-Hussein with an arrow in the mouth. Matamis, can you envision this in your mind? Forgive me for saying this in terms of being explicit. Do you know what happens when you are struck with an arrow in the mouth? This sort of weaponry is not used to target the face of a human being. The least that happens if a person is struck with an arrow in the mouth, is that it disfigures everything underneath the nose. Imam al-Husayn's face was not intact when he was shaheed. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. He goes on to say, فَجَعَلَ يُلْقِيَ الدَّمْ or يَلْقِيَ الدَّمْ مِنْ فَمِهِ وَيَرْمِي بِهِ إِلَى السَّمَاءِ. Imam al-Husayn would take the blood that was gushing out from a disfigured face and the mouth, and he would keep throwing it up to the heavens. I want to say one thing while our tears are rolling and masa'ib. Ahibai, just because a person has not heard the details of a Maqtal before, and that something, according to him, something new is recited, doesn't mean that it is fabricated. What has reached us is minimalistic. Imam al-Husayn in this stage, do you know what they did to the body of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas? Allahu Akbar. Allah. I want to recite for you tonight Maqtal, 4 parts of the Maqtal of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, from which you see the madhlumiyat of Abu al-Fadl. Allahu Akbar, ma tamiz. Sayyida Zainab thought about Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas the entire way from Karbala to Kufa and Kufa to Sham. The historians narrate that when the women and children entered into Sham, the flag, the alam of Abu al-Fadl was presented to Yazid al-La'in. Yazid was looking at the alam, and he showed that the entire flag was torn. It was covered with blood stains. It was torn due to strikes from the sword. It was ripped apart because of the arrows. It was ripped apart because of the spears. The entire flag of Abu al-Fadl was shredded, covered in blood. But the pole of the alam was intact. So Yazid looked at this and he said, this is surprising. He says, how is it that the cloth of the flag is covered in blood and damaged, but yet the pole of the flag, that which you hold the flag, the alam with, is still safe? The people, the army, they say to Yazid, it is because the holder of this flag was Abbas ibn Ali. And no matter how much we attacked him, he would hold on to the sword and he would hold on to the alam, and he would not let this alam fall. Allahu Akbar. He said, then how did you get the alam? He said, it is only when we severed the hands of Abu al-Fadl. Allah, Allah. Do you know when the 2 arms of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas were severed, the army of Yazid was too cowardly to come close to him. So the Maqtal narrates that Umar ibn Sa'ad said, shower arrows upon Abu al-Fadl from every direction. From the hundreds of arrows that hit Abu al-Fadl, Matamis, I want to explain to you only 2 of these arrows. The first arrow was the one that pierced the water bag and the mashk. Allah! As the water was dripping down onto the plains of Karbala, the hopes of Abu al-Fadl. He looks at the mashk. He sees the water is dripping. He says, how do I go back to the Khaybaga? How will I face Sakina? And if I go back to the Furat to fill the water, how do I fill water? I have no arms. Allah. As Abu al-Fadl is in this state, a second arrow comes. Maqtal narrates, Matamis, the arrow pierced the eye of Abu al-Fadl. Allah. Blood blood is flowing down the face. He doesn't have any arms. If there is a speck of dirt in your eye, you will be restless until you remove it. Abul Fadil had an arrow. Allah, Matami's Maqtal narrates, he doesn't have any arms, so he tried to remove the arrow. Our elders in the house are saying that Abul Fadil lifted his two knees together. He put the arrow in the middle, and as he tried to unplug the arrow, an enemy came from the ranks. فَضَرَبَهُ بِالْعَمُودِ عَلَى رَأْسِهِ. He struck him with the tent pole on the head. Allahu Akbar. When a person falls down, they break the fall using their hands. When Abul Fadil fell on the plains of Karbala, he fell face first. Do you know what some of the khutaba say? That when he fell face first, the arrow that was launched in the eye got pushed even deeper. Ya Kamar Bani Hashim, Abul Fadl, in the most painful of voices, he cries out, Alayka minni salam, Ya Aba Abdullah. Imam al-Hussein goes running out of the khaymaga. Hamid ibn Muslim says that as Imam al-Hussein, Matamis, it is as if your hearts are in Karbala just now. And from the khaymaga with your heart, you are running to the haram of Abul Fadil. Imam al-Hussein was running to the call of Abul Fadil. Hamid bin Muslim says, I saw him every few steps Hussein would run, he would fall down on the ground. He would stand up, he would run again, he would fall down. He says, I went closer. At one moment, Imam al-Hussein put his hand on his back and he said, Al-Ad inkasara dhahri. Now my back is broken. I don't know how Imam al-Hussein reached Abul Fadil. This third part of his Maqtal, Imam al-Hussein sees him in this state without any two arms, with an arrow in the eye. The skull was split open by the tent pole. I read in the Maqtal, it said, فَقَانَ يَتَمَرَّقْ فِي دَمِهِ. Imam al-Abbas was turning around in his face in his own blood. Imam al-Hussein takes the head of Abul Fadil and he puts it on his lap. Conversation takes place. After a few moments, Abul Fadil takes his head off the lap onto the sands. Imam al-Hussein puts it back. 3 times this happened. 3 times Abul Fadil removes his head. Imam al-Hussein says, my brother Abbas, why do you take your head off my lap? Abul Fadil in a very faint voice says to him, my master, in my final moments, my head is in your lap, but I am thinking in your final moments, who is going to be around you? It is as if you were surrounded by the enemy's shimmer marching towards you. And from the khaymaga, Zainab is shouting, Ya Adu Allah! 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 Ya Abul Fadl, Ya Abul Fadl, 13th of Muharram. This is the final part of the Masa'ib Abul Fadil. Imam al-Sajjād miraculously comes out of prison. From Kufa, he comes to Karbala. He buried the Shuhada. The people from Bani Asad helped him. He dug 2 big mass graves. One he put in the Sadat, the Shabab, the youth of Bani Hashim. And in the other he put the remaining companions. And then Habib ibn Madahir was buried separately. Imam al-Hussein, Imam Sajjād then went and buried Imam al-Hussein. In which way Allah knows, but the Maqtal states that when Imam al-Sajjād buried Imam al-Hussein and he covered the grave with sand, with his finger. Imam Al-Sajjād wrote on the grave. Have you seen when a person from our family members die and we bury them and we cover the grave with sand, we put water on it, we put roses on it, we put some sort of marking? Mazloom Imam Sajjad with his finger, he wrote on the sand, Hada Qabrul Hussein, Qataluhu Atshanan, Qataluhu Ghariban. This is the grave of Hussein ibn Ali. They killed him while he was thirsty. They killed him while he was lonely. Allah, Allah. Imam Sajjad buries Imam al-Hussein. He then walks towards the Furat to bury Abul Fadl. If you want to know what they did to the body of Abul Fadl al-Abbas, Allahu Akbar. Rawi mentions that Imam al-Sajjad threw himself on the body of his uncle Abul Fadl. He then dug out the grave of Abul Fadl. The narrators mention over here, Imam Sajjad then tried to lift the body of Abul Fadl al-Abbas from the right side. He tried to lift it, Imam Sajjad sat down. He then went to the left side. He tried to lift the body. He sat down. The people from Bani Asad asked him, Zayn al-Abidin, they asked him, should we help you lift the body? Imam al-Sajjad says, it's not about lifting the body. If I lift the right side, the left side falls over. If I lift the body from the left, the right falls over. Today in the Maqtal it is mentioned in Sharh al-Akbar, Nu'mani mentions over here that after Abul Fadl was shaheed and the Imam al-Hussein returned back to the Maqtal, the enemy circled the body of Abul Fadl. Out of their hatred, they began cutting and attacking the body.
السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. With your voices, السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين As-salamu. With your voices, As-salamu. As-salamu ala al-Husayn wa ala Ali ibn al-Husayn wa ala awlad al-Husayn wa ala ashab al-Husayn. As-salamu ala al-Husayn wa ala Ali ibn al-Husayn. As-salamu آقا و علی علی ابن الحسین و علی اولاد الحسین و علی اصحاب الحسین. یا حسین 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 یا حسین. انشالله 40 کربلا. یا حسین 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 یا حسین. اگه رفتی زیر بارون روزه بخون فقط بگو غریب حسین. اگه رفتی زیر بارون روزه بخون فقط بگو غریب حسین. اگه دیدی تو بیابون آب روون فقط بگو غریب حسین. اگه دیدی لب خشکی با دل خون فقط بگو غریب حسین. به ابل اوریان به ابی انت و امی سید العطشان. به ابل اوریان به ابی انت و امی سید العطشان. به ابل محموم به ابی انت و امی سید المظلوم. به ابی انت و امی سید المظلوم. سیدنا المظلوم سیدنا الأريان سيدنا المهموم سيدنا العطشان. آقای من ابی عبدالله آقای من ابی عبدالله مولای من ابی عبدالله مولای من ابی عبدالله. With your voices آقای من ابی عبدالله آقای من ابی مولای من ابی عبدالله مولای من ابی. اگه دیدی یه ستاره تو آسمون فقط بگو غریب حسین. اگه دیدی یه ستاره تو آسمون فقط بگو غریب حسین. اگه دیدی رخت پاره با دل خون فقط بگو غریب حسین. اگه دیدی یه اشاره با روز خون فقط بگو غریب حسین. به ابل مغموم به ابل مغموم به ابی انت و امی سید المحروم. به ابل مغموم به ابل مغموم به ابی انت و امی سید المحروم. به ابل مجروح به ابل مجروح به ابی انت و امی سید المذبوح. به ابی انت و امی سید المذبوح. سیدنا المحروم سیدنا المجروح سیدنا المغموم سیدنا المذبوح. آقای من نبی عبدالله. آقای من مولای من ابی عبدالله. مولای من ابی عبدالله. اگه دیدی رفته از حال یه خواهری فقط بگو غریب حسین. اگه دیدی شده بدحال یه مادری فقط بگو غریب حسین. اگه دیدی توی گودال یه پیکری فقط بگو غریب حسین. به ابل مسلوب به ابل مسلوب به ابی انت و امی سید المضروب. به ابل خدیب به ابی انت و امی سید الغریب. به ابی انت و امی سید الغریب. سیدنا المظلوم سیدنا المظلوم سیدنا العریان سیدنا المهموم سیدنا العطشان. آقای من نبی عبدالله. آقای من ابی عبدالله. آقای من ابی عبدالله. آقای من ابی عبدالله. هر که دارد هوس کرب و بلا بسم الله. به ابی انت و امی یا ابا عبدالله. ابا عبدالله ابا عبدالله ابا عبدالله. ابا عبدالله ابا عبدالله. حسین یا سار الله. ابا عبدالله ابا عبدالله. حسین یا سار الله. و صلی الله علی الباکینه علی الحسین العطشان. تن صد پاره چقدر غم داره. بمیرم آقا جان ابا عبدالله ابا عبدالله حسین یاسر الله ابا عبدالله ابا عبدالله
Ya Hussein, 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 Hay Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Hay Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. सब पढ़े Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. Hey, Ya Hussein, 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 Ya Hussein. Hay Ya Hussein, 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 Ya Hussein. Hay Ya Hussein, 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 Jiyo, Ya Hussein. Hay Ya Hussein, 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 Ya Hussein. अकबर का लहू शह की अबा तक पहुँच गया अकबर का लहू शह की अबा तक पहुँच गया अकबर का लहू शह की अबा तक पहुँच गया अकबर का लहू शह की अबा तक पहुँच गया अकबर का लहू शह की अबा तक पहुँच गया अकबर का लहू शह की अबा तक पहुँच गया जियो बे जियो अकबर का लहू शह की ओ दस्तार से वो माँ की दस्तार से वो माँ की रिदा तक पहुँच गया अकबर का लहू शह की अबा तक पहुँच गया ओ दस्तार से वो माँ की दस्तार से वो माँ की रिदा तक पहुँच गया। अकबर का लहू शह की अबा तक पहुँच गया। अकबर का लहू शह की अबा तक पहुँच गया। अकबर का लहू शह की अबा तक पहुँच गया। जियो मातमी। ओ दस्तार से वो माँ की, दस्तार से वो माँ की रिदा तक पहुँच गया। अकबर का लहू शह की अबा तक पहुँच गया। अकबर पहली लाइन सुन के नाज़ हुसैन। हाय आवाज रन से आई के बाबा मैं गिर पड़ा। आवाज रन से आई के बाबा मैं गिर पड़ा। गिरता हुआ हुसैन, गिरता हुआ हुसैन सदा तक पहुँच गया। अकबर का लहू शह की अबा तक पहुँच गया। अकबर का लहू शह की अबा तक पहुँच गया। अकबर हाय आवाज रन से आई के बाबा मैं गिर पड़ा। आवाज रन से आई के बाबा मैं गिर पड़ा। गिरता हुआ हुसैन, गिरता हुआ हुसैन सदा तक पहुँच गया। अकबर का लहू शह की अबा तक पहुँच गया। अकबर का लहू शह की अबा तक पहुँच गया। अकबर का लहू शह की ऐ दस्तार से वो माँ की, दस्तार से वो माँ की रिदा तक पहुँच गया। अकबर का लहू शह की अबा तक पहुँच गया। अकबर हाय ऐसे गिरी है खैमे में अकबर की लाश पर। ऐसे गिरी है खैमे में अकबर की लाश पर। ज़ैनब का खून खाके, ज़ैनब का खून खाके शिफा तक पहुँच गया। अकबर का लहू शह की अबा तक पहुँच गया। अकबर का लहू शह की अबा तक पहुँच गया। अकबर हाय ऐसे गिरी है खैमे में अकबर की लाश पर। ऐसे गिरी है खैमे में अकबर की लाश पर। ज़ैनब का खून खाके, ज़ैनब का ने खाके शिफा तक पहुँच गया अकबर का लहू शह की अबा तक पहुँच गया अकबर का लहू तेरे बाजों वीरण गाजी इंज शामा पै गईया तेरे बाजों वीरण गाजी इंज शामा पै गईया ओ मेरा सर जख्मी हाय खून आलूदा बिच मिट्टियां रह गईया तेरे बाजों वीरण गाजी इंज शामा पै गईया तेरे बाजों वीरण गाजी इंज शामा पै गईया हाय वल्लैल दिया वीर जरनैल दिया वीर जरनैल दिया 9 लाख कातिल दे हथ विच तकिया ओ जुल्फा रह गईया तेरे बाजों वीरण गाजी इंज शामा पै गईया तेरे बाजों वीरण गाजी इंज शामा पै गईया आखिरी अतरा हुसैन हाय तकदीर रह गई कि वे जूंदी रह गई कि वे जूंदी रह गई युते जदों तेरिया बावा मैनू लभनिया पै गईया तेरे बाजों वीरण गाजी इंज शामा पै गईया और मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद सलावत
سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله